9 a.m. here. Got the stratocumulus rolling northward with south winds coming up from the Gulf. A little more cloud cover than we had over the past few days.
All right, starting out here at 9 a.m. on July 9th, here's the pattern that we got across Texas. First thing you notice is that there's elevated storms across the Fort Sill to Wichita Falls down to Seymour area. Those tend to die off when you get overnight thunderstorms like we had. They tend to die off around dawn, and they're usually gone by about 10 to 11. You just end up with a lot of debris, kind of like what we see out here. But overall, you can tell there's some sort of boundary here. I think that front lifted up north, the main front, but we're probably seeing development along that, and they kind of ride southeasterly and end up going south of the front some distance. So that's probably what's going on here. You see these transverse bands right here in West Texas? That's indicative of stability. We covered that, I think, sometime last week. So when you see those flat surfaces there, that's a good indicator that you're behind a front of some kind. Quite a bit different from what we have in East Texas. Here we have the south flow coming off the Gulf. So what's happening is we probably got an outflow boundary extending something like that. It could be a front. We'll go to the charts and look at this. But definitely some sort of northerly flow back here, and then to the south of that, southerly flow. So that sets the stage for 9 a.m. Then as we go forward, we go up to about 11, then 12, then 1 o'clock, and then now we're up to 3 o'clock. You see that boundary right there? Maybe some of our sharper viewers notice that. That's probably that residual outflow boundary kind of pushing south a little bit. There may be something in here that might be associated with that flat stratus that we had in the Lubbock area earlier, and thunderstorms on the higher terrain in New Mexico. See those anvils pushing to the east? So stronger flow coming in from the Pacific, and looks like it kind of diverges a little bit like that. Sea breeze is also working inland, and by 3 o'clock it looks like it might be in here somewhere. A little bit more vertical development to that cumulus, and then when we get up to 4 o'clock and 5 p.m., those actually do fire. The ridge does hold tight across most of Texas, keeping things shut down, but with the terrain, higher terrain, and the moisture sneaking northwestward with the summer monsoon, we get a lot of thunderstorm activity out here. And usually we don't see that start up until like later in July and August, but we've got kind of an early start. Here's the surface chart for Texas for 10 p.m. showing the southerly flow coming up from the Gulf. And where we see a change in that indicates probably some sort of boundary. In this case, outflow boundary along the Red River. We go from 81 there at Alexandria to 79 there at DeQueen, I think. I don't really know my... Mena, Arkansas. Yeah, so we go from 79 to 68. Quite a drop there, so probably continuation of that outflow boundary. Out in West Texas, looks like there's the tail end of that boundary south of Lubbock, stretching up towards the Vaughn and Tucumcari area. Now, it's hard to tell exactly where the front is because it may be masked by the outflow. So I'm not going to actually draw that on here. The important thing is the main boundary we're concerned with is basically from Lubbock to southeastern Oklahoma. Elsewhere, normally we see a dry line out west in the spring. See that value right there, dew point temperature in March and April. We tend to see those values down around 20 to 30, 40. But we're not seeing that this time of year. See, 60, that's the monsoon. A lot of that moisture, deep tropical moisture, infiltrating the Rocky Mountain region. So that's where we see the seasonal increase in shower activity out west. As far as Texas is concerned, just more of the same tropical flow south of I-20 and I-30. North of that, we'll probably see this continuation of thunderstorms, outflow boundaries, and so on, as long as we have continued strong upper level flow. We'll check that out on the upper level chart. Okay, we're starting out with today's 250 millibar chart. This is up at 34,000 feet, and as I always say, this is the big picture, the master solution to what's going on. Showing an upper level low, kind of unusual for this time of year over central Colorado, or central California. There we go. Polar front jet coming onshore into northwest Mexico, again unusual. There's a polar front jet connecting up to the stuff in the Great Lakes. So normally we don't see that this far south during the wintertime. This means usually cloudy weather and a cool down later in the week. But in this case, in the summertime, we're probably going to see that lift northward as the ridge builds in. And that's the case as we go forward into Friday. Then as we get into Saturday, that ridge really builds in high pressure. It should stay pretty dry across most of Texas. Possible afternoon, evening thunderstorms again in the Amarillo area just north of Lubbock, and probably just the usual isolated weak activity along the Gulf Coast. High pressure will keep things locked down across the U.S. or across Texas. Same story for Monday, high pressure there. We go into Tuesday, high pressure continuing to hold on, but we pick up a little bit of northerly flow in North Texas. So we may just get grazed a little bit by some of the activity up in Kansas and Oklahoma drifting southward. That'll be mostly north of the Red River. Then as we get into Thursday, pretty much the same stagnant pattern, and now we're getting beyond what the models can cover, so this is just all speculative. There's a little jet segment coming in from Colorado into the Panhandles, and looks like Texas will stay pretty dry. I already set up my pool outside. Anyway, you all might want to do the same, and I appreciate you watching the Texas weather, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Unbelievably, Palestine has an indoor mall.
Definitely got a 70s look here. This was built in the late 70s or early 80s during the oil boom. And eventually all the businesses went to big box format and moved out. So we're on our way to the court. This bloody traffic. Come on.
All right, here at the courthouse where I'm going to turn myself, pick up some paperwork. Look at this, man. It's like 4-lane boulevard, the main street through town, and they can't even put in sidewalks. I just passed a pedestrian there walking in the gutter. Brookshires, for some reason we don't have HEB here. We're just beyond the edge of their territory. Look at that, 5 shelves of Pop-Tarts. Talk about selection. Those of you not familiar with Texas supermarkets, they often carry a Mexican section. This is all imported food from Mexico, and there's actual real Coke there with sugar, not corn syrup. And there's the Texas size cans. If you want 6 pounds of ravioli right there, $7. And unlike in Oklahoma, you can buy wine in the supermarket. Minutes later, back out in the country. We don't have Starbucks and cool bars open to 2 in the morning, that kind of thing. Well, actually we do downtown, but it's more of a country type place. Well, 5 p.m. Not much to report here, just cumulus losing vertical development as we lose heating, just kind of stratifying and air's drying out. So just another quiet night here. Probably more of the same tomorrow.